What is good, YouTube, and welcome back to MKE MANIACI, and today we're going to be checking out WrestleMania 10 moves that shorten WWE wrestlers' careers, man. Let's get it. Every time I see this clip of Edge hitting the spear on Brodus Clay, that right there, that took over a decade away from his career on Brodus Clay. Respectfully, no disrespect to Brodus Clay, but dog, such a storied career, and that's how fast it changed.
What the hell is going on here? World Champion Edge!
10 moves WWE wrestlers use that shorten their careers. Number 1, the leg drop. The leg drop as a finisher was popularized by Hulk Hogan, and we've seen the move used in various ways throughout the years. However, it doesn't matter if it's on the top rope or a basic leg drop on the ground. This move is notorious for killing the backs of wrestlers performing it. A big reason that Hogan can barely walk today is because of his finishing move. Hogan has stated his regrets over having the atomic leg drop as his finisher, as he's noted the damage it's done to his hips, lower back and pelvis, and the multiple surgeries he's had to go through just to be free of pain. But Hogan isn't the only man who suffered the effects of the leg drop. Matt Hardy is also known for the high-flying move, with one of his most infamous moments.
From the top of the cage, I was literally about to say this. When Matt Hardy did that leg drop down to Edge on that cage, I know there's permanent damage from that. The leg drop is a very dangerous move.
Being him hitting a leg drop off the top of a steel cage in 2005. Hardy eventually stopped using the move for the same reason that Hogan did. It messed up his lower back and pelvis. In fact, Matt had to get surgery as his lower back began to fuse with his pelvis. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a cruiserweight or a heavyweight, the leg drop has been proven to be an unsafe maneuver, and surprisingly, it isn't banned even though we know the long-term effects of it. Number 2, the headbutt. We can't have this move on the list without addressing the elephant in the room, Chris Benoit. The tragedy of Chris Benoit and his family rocked the wrestling world, and when it was revealed that this incident was likely caused because of Benoit's history of concussions, WWE immediately banned the diving headbutt. The dangers of this move are quite obvious, as there's a huge risk of head-related injuries that could permanently harm a wrestler.
And the thing with Benoit, listen, for those of us that's been around or have watched Chris Benoit's match, I mean, you could turn on Peacock and watch him now, but at the time, as, a teenager watching his matches, and I'm looking and I'm like, he always went full force with his headbutt. He, full on, whether he missed or he connected, his head was hitting something. Whether it was somebody's chest, somebody's shoulder, or the ring, outside the ring, his head was hitting something. He didn't even try to protect his head at all, man. And it's such a tragic ending, because this move is one of the contributing factors to why that terrible, tragic situation happened, man.
This move are quite obvious, as there's a huge risk of head-related injuries that could permanently harm a wrestler. With how stiff wrestling is these days, it's not uncommon to see moves like a brainbuster or piledriver, but when you take into account the amount of house shows WWE has, moves like the diving headbutt become extremely dangerous for the performer who consistently uses.
I forgot Chad Gable uses that.
Moves like the diving headbutt become extremely dangerous for the performer who consistently uses this high-risk maneuver. However, it isn't just a flying headbutt that's dangerous. Katsuyori Shibata came close to retirement following his Genesis match against Kazuchika Okada after his headbutt cracked his skull. The AEW star discovered that he had a subdural hematoma, which many didn't think he would ever recover from. The headbutt isn't used regularly these days, and for good reason. It's a self-inflicted move that could go wrong in more ways than one. Number 3, the dive to the outside. Now, this one's in the name, so it's not surprising that this risky move has more.
I think of Benoit with this one. This move, and then when he hit the announce table too, that was freaking sick.
Impact on the performer. When the dive connects, it usually is safe and painless, as part of the move requires the opponent to catch the wrestler doing it, but performing the move is the real trick. Lita almost broke her neck in her infamous main event match against Trish Stratus in 2004, but there have been plenty of other examples when superstars have either undershot the dive, resulting in the wrestler's head and neck hitting the floor first, or a wrestler can overshoot the dive and unexpectedly crash into something like a barrier or an announce table. All high-flying moves are risky because wrestlers can't control gravity, but the dive seems like the move that most wrestlers have the hardest time perfecting.
When wrestlers dive outside of the ring, I always get very nervous, whether they're doing like a front flip over or they're doing the suicide dive or whatever dive they're doing through the ropes, I get nervous because at the end of the day, these are humans, and humans are made to make mistakes. It happens. But those ropes are very stern. You cannot defeat those ropes. If you get tied up or caught in those ropes, your career could be over that fast from a move like that, man. So I always cringe a little bit when I watch it, and I'm like, especially like when Montez does like the front flip over the freaking thing.
Number 4, Rack Attack, Nikki Bella.
Oh yeah, that
now you would think that a
up.
move called the Rack Attack would be sexy and painless, but it's a big reason that Nikki Bella was forced to retire.
Yeah.
The finisher itself was a drop-down neck breaker, which was a cool move that stood out from the rest of the women's roster, but the strain of having someone's entire weight on your shoulders did more harm than good, especially to Nikki's neck. Doing that even once a week sounds hard enough, but what if you had to do it 5 times a week? Now, this is where WWE's hectic schedule came in, as it was a combination of the move and the numerous times she had to use it that caused the disc to push on the spinal cord, which allowed excess fluids into the central nervous system. Nikki got the surgery and changed her finisher when she returned, but the damage was already done. She was forced to retire because of the constant neck injuries that flared up. The Rack Attack may have been a great finisher for the former WWE Divas champion, but it's doubtful that Nikki would have ever chose that move in the first place if she knew that the damage it would do to her career.
And, him mentioning, she performed this move possibly, imagine, 5 times a week. This is why I'm actually pretty cool with the fact that next year WWE is limiting the number of live events they do. Like, they're going to still do live events, but it's going to be a little more easier on the roster because, listen, this stuff is draining. I could only imagine you're doing these moves, you're doing these high impact moves constantly, not just on Raw, NXT, or SmackDown, but you're going everywhere doing these moves. You got multiple shows per week. And the thing is, with a lot of these live events, it's the same outcome in these matches, so it's going to be the same finish. So you're going to be doing the same moves. It's just, it's taxing on the body. So, they're lightening the schedule a little bit.
Number 5, Shooting Star Press.
Oh, yeah.
The Shooting Star Press is one of the prettiest moves ever created.
However,
as Beyonce once said, pretty hurts. Invented by WWE Hall of Famer Jushin Thunder Liger, the move has gone through several evolutions throughout the decades. For a long time, WWE had a permanent ban on the maneuver because the risk far exceeded the reward. The Shooting Star Press is a move that needs to be perfect.
Evan Bourne Shooting Star Press. When I think of that Shooting Star Press, 1, I think of Brock Lesnar WrestleMania 19, but 2, I think of Evan Bourne, man.
The risk far exceeded the reward. The Shooting Star Press is a move that needs to be perfect. One slight miscalculation can break the performer's neck or even crush a rib. From Billy Kidman's spectacular Shooting Star Press fail to Steven Regal on Nitro to Brock Lesnar's painful highlight reel at WrestleMania 19, it's astonishing that numerous careers haven't ended because of this popular move. Number 6, Swanton Bomb.
Oh, I love the Swanton Bomb.
Have you ever noticed how Jeff Hardy changed the way he used the Swanton Bomb? The former WWE champion revealed in 2018 that he had to change the way he used the move to protect his own body. The Hardys don't move the way they did in the 90s and early 2000s because they were Team Extreme. Jeff was the daredevil who did all types of crazy aerial maneuvers, but the Swanton Bomb was a finisher that he used in every one of his matches. However, that move took its toll on his lower back, and is a big reason why he limps around the ring these days. Now, the thing is, the current version of the Swanton Bomb looks more devastating than the ones he hit during the Attitude Era, so it's definitely for the best that Jeff Hardy puts all his weight onto his opponent. There's no doubt that Hardy's slowing down is a result of the insane dives he's done throughout his years. Jeff isn't diving off ladders and steel cages every week. Guys like the Hardys are reminded that as fun as it is to watch the high flyer daredevil type wrestler, their career span doesn't last long unless they slow down their risk-taking moveset.
Now, I know they say don't try it at home, but I was at home in the basement doing the Swanton. I used to set up a steel chair in the corner in the basement. I had a body pillow. Sometimes it'll be like an oversized stuffed animal. I lay it right there. I would get on top of that steel chair, and I used to hit a beautiful Swanton Bomb. I'm not even gonna lie. My back's pretty good right now. I'm almost 30 and my back is pretty good right now. But yeah, I could only imagine doing that at such a intensity like Jeff Hardy's been doing it for decades.
Number 7. Missile Dropkick. Now it's interesting how the simplest move in professional wrestling turned out to be one of the most dangerous. The dropkick is a move that almost every wrestler uses. The move itself isn't particularly devastating to the receiver, however, just like the leg drop, this can have long-term effects on the performer's back. The missile dropkick requires someone to jump in the air and land on the mat once it connects with their opponent. When a dropkick is used here and there, then the move is rather harmless, as it hasn't ended a WWE career. But for former superstar Maven, he recalls the pain he was in the night he performed the simple wrestling move. That was the defining move that Maven was known for, but it ended up causing him to have arthroscopic surgery on his right leg. There's nothing hard about performing the dropkick, but gravity is not your best friend, and the long-term effects of the missile dropkick definitely prove that. Number 8. The moonsault. Shawn Michaels broke his ribs with an Asai moonsault at WrestleMania 24.
Yep.
Cody Rhodes suffered a small fracture in his big toe after performing a moonsault from the top of the cage against Wardlow. Sami Zayn's career almost came to a screaming halt when he botched a single springboard moonsault against Kevin Owens at Battleground 2016.
It looked like Owens was kind of going in to try to save him with that.
When he botched a single springboard moonsault against Kevin Owens at Battleground 2016. The moonsault is used more frequently because the move isn't as complex as a shooting star press. However, it's caused more injuries because of the trajectory of the move is so unpredictable. Again, this is another case of high risk, high reward, but there's also a reason that a moonsault is used regularly by anyone. Kurt Angle is a prime example of this, as the Olympic gold medalist will go down as one of the best wrestlers to ever step in the squared circle. The 2005 Kurt Angle was vastly different from 2018 Kurt Angle.
That perk angle.
And the moonsault was a good reason for that. Though Kurt was more of a technical wrestler, he wasn't afraid to pop out the moonsault in big matches. The problem was that Kurt was rather inexperienced in using the aerial move. The first time he used it, it resulted in him breaking Bob Harley's arm. The moonsault got better over time in terms of being safer, but there were plenty of notable botches that severely impacted his body. Number 9. The RKO. Have you ever noticed the change in the RKO? It's very subtle, as Orton used to do the RKO with one arm, but now he does it with two. RKO. It's very subtle, as Orton used to do the RKO with one arm, but now he does it with two. The change was due to it making it safer for Orton's shoulders and back. Orton's career-threatening back injury is no strange coincidence. While it's likely due to years of constant traveling and wrestling every week, the RKO is a big component of his recent injury. Orton himself has expressed regret over the way he's used the RKO and wish he could go back in time and change his finisher.
I will say the RKO when Randy Orton was going through the back situation and we thought Randy Orton was going to retire, I started thinking and I'm looking like, man, a lot of Randy Orton's offense always had to do with his back. Orton with the RKO, y'all remember the back breaker he would do when he would like have his opponent right behind him, he comes down and their back is on his back. Of course, the drop kick, the middle rope DDT, like he came down on his back a lot, and Randy Orton's been active for 20 years. So imagine all these years, through these 20 years, man, imagine all that wear and tear on your back. It's amazing that Randy Orton here at 44, almost 45 years old is still able to do this, and we need to appreciate Randy Orton more.
Expressed regret over the way he's used the RKO and wish he could go back in time and change his finisher. I jump as high as I can, grab the guy's neck and come crashing down to the mat. I've been doing it for a very long time and I kind of wish I could go back in time and create a finishing move that didn't entail me jumping as high as I can and landing on my back. After doing that a couple of thousand times over the last few decades, I'm starting to feel it. The RKO is the perfect finisher for Orton, but it would have been understandable if he had changed it. As great as the move is, it would have been a shame to see his career end based on something that helped him become a true megastar. And number 1, the Frog Splash.
Really? The Frog Splash?
Now, the Frog Splash is perhaps the second most used high-flying move behind the moonsault. When done correctly, the Frog Splash looks like a devastating move that hurts the performer and receiver. In reality, the performer was the only one who suffered the crippling effects. Guys like Eddie Guerrero and Rob Van Dam protected their opponents by using their elbows and knees to guard from full contact from the belly. Eddie Guerrero dislocated his left elbow in his very first WWE match because of how awkwardly he used the Frog Splash. Rumors have it that Guerrero's very first WWE match because of how awkwardly he used the Frog Splash. Rumors have it that Guerrero's use of the Frog Splash became extremely painful over time, and Eddie's painkiller addiction got worse because of it. There has been nothing to confirm that statement, but it has been proven that the Frog Splash takes a massive toll on the wrestler's body. Imagine landing on your knees and elbows for over 300 days a year. Even worse, making one mistimed mistake can hurt both you and your opponent. There doesn't seem to be much upside when using a frog splash, and that's evidently in today's WWE landscape, as it's not used as much in the company, apart from Montez Ford using it.
Oh, Montez Ford is an amazing frog splash.
There you have it, folks. 10 moves WWE wrestlers
I say
use.
between Rob Van Dam and Montez Ford, and and of course you got to throw Eddie in there. Eddie is the Eddie Guerrero, RVD, Montez Ford, top 3 frog splashes. But yeah, man, 10 moves that shorten WWE wrestlers' careers, man. I feel like you can make a part 2 and 3 to this type of video, man. There's a lot of moves, a lot of dangerous moves. You could put in a lot of different moves, man. A lot of different moves, man. But link down below in the description will lead y'all right to this video for y'all to check it out in its entirety with no interruptions. If you are new to the channel and want more wrestling related content, hit that subscribe button for me, and I'll see y'all in the next video. It's your boy MKE MANIACI. I'm out.